Have you ever been stuck? Have you ever felt stuck? Trapped in a job that feels too small for your soul? Have you ever looked at your life, at your circumstances, and just thought for a second, there got to be more than this? That's the place. That's the moment. It all begins. It doesn't always happen in the spotlight, not even in the corner office or on the grand stage, but more often than not, the moment that defines you finds you in the ordinary, in the overlooked places, in the early mornings that nobody else sees. See, today, I'm sharing the story of how walking into a McDonald's in a three-piece suit at 5 in the morning lit a fire that forged my entire future. It was a moment that should have just shattered my pride, but instead, it became the foundation for my purpose. There's an old truth from Zechariah 4:10 that says, "Do not despise the days of small beginnings." Someone needs to hear that right now. That small, insignificant thing that you feel in your life right now, that's the seed. That's the starting block. If you refuse to quit, if you choose the faith over the fear of what others people think about you, in your lowest moment will become your most powerful lesson. Stay with me for a little while, because this story isn't just about me, but it's about the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. Welcome back, family. This is the Burning Empowerment of Your Soul series, the place where real stories fuel real transformation, and I'm grateful that you're here. See, today's story is personal. It's about a suit, a sunrise, and a choice that's turned the ordinary moment into a defining one. The rule for today, the one to anchor yourself to, is in Zechariah 4:10. Do not despise the days of small beginnings. Now say this next part with me. Wherever you are, say it with conviction though. Where I start is not where I finish, because I am empowered for my next level. Feel that truth. Feel those words. It's not a catchy phrase. It's a declaration. See, today's story is raw. It's humbling, and it's designed to prove that the most powerful growth comes from the small, difficult, and often painful moments in your life. So get ready, open your mind, and let's get into this. See, have you ever felt like your circumstances are just a cage that's holding you back from the person that you know you were born to be? That's where my story begins. I was 18 years old, just home from graduating from 90 days of grueling United States Marine Corps boot camp. Yeah, see, I wore this new uniform with pride I can't even describe to you. I had survived one of the most intense transformations on this planet. I knew discipline, I knew honor, I knew what excellence felt like. But the civilian world didn't speak that same language. I came home not to a parade, but to a suffocating quiet of my old neighborhood in Camden. The options were few. The opportunities were even fewer. I had no car. The savings was dwindling. I was an 18-year-old boy. The weight of just surviving was just crushing me. It was a profound burden on me. I had gone from being forged in the United States Marines to a man with no mission, because I was in the Marine Reserve. So I had to balance being a full-time student with the need to find a full-time job. The new identity that had just been forged in me felt useless at that time. Every rejection letter was another brick on my back. I was a warrior in a world that only seemed to want clerks. The burden wasn't just financial, but it was spiritual. It was a crisis of who I was. I'd wake up before dawn, the military discipline still wired in me, and staring at the ceiling asking, what now? Did I go through all of that just to end up here? This is where the idea of small beginnings started to take root. Do not despise this. I was in a small, painful, humbling place. My pride was shot. My ego was bruised. But here's the truth that you need to catch today. Sometimes the biggest blessings are disguised as the heaviest burdens. The weight isn't meant to crush you, but it's meant to ground you, to bring you to a place of such profound dependence that you're finally ready for the next step. That burden was my breaking point. It broke my reliance on my own strength, my titles, my own plans. And into that brokenness, I could finally breathe and say, I surrender. I'll do anything. That surrender was the first step of the breakthrough. See, what if the delay that you're feeling right now isn't a denial? What if it's your development, a training period to forge the discipline that you need for your destiny? After weeks of nothing, I saw a sign in a McDonald's window, now hiring. My pride screamed, no, you're a Marine. You're better than this. But the quiet voice, the quiet, still voice of surrender asked a different question, a more honest one. Are you? Really? So I made a choice. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it right, with the same standard of excellence I learned in the courts. See, I will not despise this small beginning. I will honor it. I spent 2 days preparing. I didn't just fill out an application. I updated my resume, highlighted discipline, commitment to excellence, and the ability to perform under pressure. I put it into a professional binder, and I pulled it all out with my best three-piece suit. I shined up my shoes, and I practiced my handshake. You might think I was crazy. A suit for McDonald's? But it wasn't about the job. It was about the standard. My new standard. It was an act of discipline. The Bible says in Hebrews chapter 12 and 11 that no discipline is pleasant at the time. It's painful, but later it produces a harvest for those who have been trained by it. The discipline of honoring this small thing was painful to my pride, but it was training me for a harvest that I could not even see. I set my alarm clock for 4 a.m. The interview was at 5 a.m. I walked a mile and a half in the cold, pre-dawned by the darkness. Binder underneath my arm, the world was asleep, but I was on a mission. And walking into that McDonald's in a full suit, I didn't feel foolish. I felt powerful because my character was defining the circumstances, not the other way around. I was ready. When you dream, your dream is delayed. You're not being denied, but you're being developed. Have you ever asked for a promotion and life handed you a shovel? See, that's the moment where fear and faith have a head-on collision. I walked into that quiet restaurant. The smell of coffee was in the air. The manager, a man who looked like he's seen it all, came out. His eyes went from my face to my suit, to my shine shoes and back up. Bewildered, we sat down. I slid the binder across the table and he opened it. He looked at my resume, my service, my discipline, and then he looked up at me. A long pause hung into the air. The fear started creeping into my mind. Oh, rejection? Misunderstanding? The fear of being seen as a joke? Then the manager spoke. Son, he said in his voice direct, you are wildly overqualified to the workers in the grill or register, but we have those positions, we do have those positions open. So he paused, waiting for my reaction. I explained I was looking for something with higher pay to support myself through college. He nodded slowly. Well, he continued, I can't offer you more for that grill position. However, our overnight janitor position, janitor just quit. That position pays much more. It's an 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, mopping floors and cleaning the bathrooms. The janitor job. The overnight shift would let me get off in time at 8:30 a.m. for my college class perfectly. The air left my lungs. A United States Marine offered a job to mop floors. The humiliation was a punch to the gut. My fear and my pride roared to life. Walk out right now. You are worth way more than this. But in that fire, another voice rose up, a voice of faith. It reminded me of Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him and he will direct thy paths. See, my understanding told me that this was an insult. My pride told me that this was beneath me. But my faith asked a different question. Do you trust the path or do you trust your pride? Let me ask you, Would you take that job that no one else wants if you knew it was preparing you for something much greater? Would you choose humility over your idea of honor to get one step closer to your destiny? In that moment, I looked at the manager deep in the eyes. I took a breath and I said, I'll take it. That decision was the spark. Faith doesn't eliminate fear. It gives you the fire to move forward anyhow. Can humility in the lowest places lead to hope? I am living proof of that. Yes, my first day as a janitor was a master class in humility. I traded my Marine Corps uniform for a work polo, my rifle for a mop. The hurt to my ego was real. I felt invisible. People didn't see a Marine, but they saw the guy cleaning a spill. The temptation to become bitter was immense, but then a shift began. I started to see that cleaning that floor wasn't a punishment. It was a purification, my private training ground. I removed from any chance of applause to learn one lesson. All true leadership is built on service. James chapter 4:10 says, humble yourselves and you will be lifted up. I realized that this job was my chance to live it out. The mop bucket became another one of my classrooms. Every floor I mopped, every trash, every can that I emptied became an act of discipline. I prayed while I worked. I was thankful for this job, for the strength in my body, for this lesson. And an amazing thing happened. The hurt faded. Hope replaced it. The humiliation transformed into a quiet strength. This job was healing the part of me that was dependent on titles and the approval of others. It was rebuilding my identity, not on what I did, but on who I was. The janitorial job was my training ground, not my final destination. It was the season of hidden humility. I needed to be trusted with a public victory. You have to be faithful with the mop before you can be trusted with the mandate of God. Your season of humility is not a setback, but it's a proving ground. See, now, I need you to stop for a moment. What small beginnings are being asked of you right now to despise today? What janitor's closet is life calling you into to teach you something that you can't learn on a stage? Maybe it's a thankless role at work, a difficult relationship, a financial struggle. Do not despise it. That is your training ground. The same principle that took me from the mopping the floors in Camden, McDonald's, to serving my state in the court system are the same principles at work what's in today. In this story right now, Zechariah 4:10 isn't just a nice verse, but it's a law of progress. The work will be completed in you, but you have to be willing to embrace the process. My journey started with the word yes, and yes to humility, yes to discipline, and yes to faith. So I ask you, what small yes will you take today? If the story is resonating with you and you believe that the smallest moments can become your greatest victories, go to the comment section right now and type faith. Let's fill this space with a declaration that we trust the process of God. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you're a part of this empowerment journey, so I don't want you to miss another What's in Week. We upload every Monday at 6 p.m. sharp. Your comments, What's in, doesn't just declare your faith, but it encourages someone else fighting their own battle. Your next level is waiting. Now, before we go, receive this. Repeat it after me, or even write it down. Where I start is not where I finish, because I am empowered for my next level. So take care, my family. I'll see you again next week, Monday at 6, and God bless you and your family.